Welcome back. Welcome back, Lane Ragsdale. Boy, I'm having a hard time with you today, Lane. I'm so sorry.
You're
I'm
the
so sorry.
lovely Lane Ragsdale.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
we do.
Thank you. Yes, yes.
And you are our financial expert. You've come on and done several segments in the past about financial issues, about investing and different things. But you're here to talk about taxes, IRA deductions, and also some free classes.
It's time.
Yes, it is time. It is time.
Yeah.
The only bad word, I was laughing listening to your other segments. You know, you've been talking about the bad words people have said.
Yeah.
Taxes are all I got bad for you today. I'm sorry, but it is that time of year. The tax deadline's April 15th again.
Yeah.
We're here in mid-March. So if you haven't started worrying about them, you probably need to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And the advantage of IRAs is until April 15th, you still have an advantage to be able to get an IRA tax deduction and reduce your income for last year. So that's what we really want to remind
Oh, okay.
people about, is that
So this has to
To
be a
open
new one.
an
It can't
IRA,
be
open a new IRA.
a new one.
either a new one or to add to an existing IRA you might already have.
Oh, okay.
An IRA, really, if you compare it to a retirement plan, like a lot of businesses have, in that case, they take money out of your
Yeah,
paycheck
yeah.
and you decide how to invest it. And then at that stage, the money can grow tax deferred. You don't have to pay income taxes on it until you pull it out at retirement, when hopefully you're not making, hopefully it's grown, and then hopefully you're not making as much at that stage. And
Yeah.
so it allows you to pay on a tax that's less. Well, your IRA is kind of the same thing. You're usually writing a check or something out of your checking account. You've already paid taxes on it. So to make it fair with a retirement plan, then you get to take a tax deduction for that amount.
Okay.
So in 2015, if you're under age 50, you can put up to $5,500 back in an IRA and get that tax deduction. Or if, like some of us, you're over 50, you can put $6,500 back.
Oh, good.
And
Okay.
you can do that up until the 15th. So
Okay.
that still gives you some leeway there to be able to
Okay.
get a tax
Now,
deduction.
where do we get that extra money?
That, you kind of need to have your financial advisor already on board
Already on board,
before
okay.
April the
Okay.
14th to say, yeah. And we would all appreciate if you did not call us at 3 o'clock on
Yeah.
April the 14th and
Yeah.
go, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I really
bet.
need help right now. Yeah, yeah. So that's a traditional IRA. Some people don't need the tax deductions, though. And there is a Roth IRA that's also out there. And a Roth IRA simply says, I still want to put money into an IRA for the year. The limits are the same, $5,500 if you're less than 50, $6,500 if you're more than 50. But at that point, it has a really cool option. If you don't take it as a tax deduction in this tax year, it's called a Roth IRA, it can grow, hopefully, and at that stage, when you pull money from it, you don't have to pay taxes at all. So it's not tax deferred.
Okay.
It really is tax-free. So
Tax-free.
it's a trade-off. You don't take a tax deduction now, and you get a better tax deduction in your retirement years. So sometimes this year you may need one, so you have a traditional. Next year, you do need, or excuse me, the other way around, you don't need a tax deduction, you do a Roth. If you do need one, you do a traditional. And so some people bounce back and forth based on
And
the
you can have
advice of their
both.
tax advice. You can have both. You can have
Now-
both.
Now, we need to talk about the one that you pay no taxes at all. And what's that?
That is the one that doesn't exist.
The one that
Yeah, the one you go to jail for.
sends you to jail.
Just so you know, just so you know.
All right.
There are a couple other things,
Yeah.
not to send you to jail,
Yeah.
please. But with IRAs, some advantages are your money's basically tied up. The government does all they can to encourage you to save that money for retirement.
Yeah.
But one of the nice things about it is if you do have some issues that come up, if you want higher education for one of your family members, or you have a medical issue that's considered an emergency, or first-time home buyers, or some things like that, you can pull money out of traditional IRAs early without paying a penalty.
Do you have to put it back?
You can put it back,
You
but
can,
you
but
don't have
without
to.
penalty?
But you don't
Yeah,
have
you
to.
can.
Yeah.
But do you have to give a certain reason for pulling it out?
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
You
okay.
do.
So there's
You have to prove it's one of
Prove
the
it for one thing.
exemptions that they've got.
Okay.
And so by doing that, it allows people that, let's say they're trying to buy a first-time home, they can
Yeah.
go and tap that money. They still have to pay taxes on it. You know,
Yeah.
you're not going to get
Yeah.
away without
Yeah.
paying the
Yeah.
taxes, but there's no penalty
So when you pull it
associated.
out for an emergency, you have to pay taxes on that
Yes.
amount
On
that
the
you
mo-
pull
Yes,
out.
but not a penalty. If you pull it out to say, to buy your favorite bass boat, at that stage, it's not considered an emergency.
That's kind of
and
an
you pay a
emergency for some
penalty.
people.
For some, my funniest thing was a guy's air conditioner went out in his house, and he was telling me he was about to die. He was just certain of it. This is
Yeah.
no one local, so.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can
They won't
share
hear this. Yeah, I can
story.
share
Yeah.
this unless he sees it on the internet. And he was trying his hardest to convince me that,
Yeah.
the air conditioner going out on his home really was an emergency. but the IRS was not going to buy that, so
Yeah.
it didn't go. You kind of have to convince them more than me. I was all for it.
Yeah,
but,
I'm
you
sure
know.
you were. Yeah.
Yeah, you may be able to convince me your bass boat's your emergency, but it's that IRS guy we got to worry
when
about a
it's
little bit more.
when it's the spawning season, and you just
I
got
know.
that, you know.
I know. I understand that. My husband fishes. I get that, but he doesn't get the money for a bass boat either.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing about, the difference between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA, traditional IRA, they force you to start pulling it out at 70 and a half.
Yeah.
A Roth IRA, you can keep
Just
it,
keep it in there.
forever.
Can
Yeah.
if you have one, can you put it into another, or is it
Moving it back and forth?
moving it back from, if you've got a typical IRA, can you move it into a Roth IRA?
You can, but you have to pay taxes on it when you
Okay,
do it.
when you do it. Okay.
And actually, that's a good point. I'm glad you asked that. I'm not a tax advisor, but one tax concept and technique that people use from time to time is to move money from their traditional to a Roth in bits and parts. It's called a
Yeah.
rollover. You convert
Right.
from your traditional to your Roth and pay your taxes in years where you know you're going to have a lower tax rate.
Oh, okay.
And so you
You have to be
end
pretty
up,
savvy and
yeah,
to
or have
know
a
what's
very
going on.
good.
Yeah.
You need a financial
There we go.
advisor. There you go.
And where do we
She's good.
do you
Where do you
recommend
find
any?
one of those?
Recommend any of those?
Well,
Well, actually,
and I want you to touch on, you've got some free classes, I think,
Yeah. I
coming
do,
up where
I do.
people can.
I'll touch a little bit on what you
Okay,
just said about
sure.
where to find one.
Yeah.
I always want people to be aware, too, that there are different licensings, how people are.
Okay.
I'm a certified financial planner now, which is one change that's happened in the last
that's
year or
something
so.
new
I
for
think
you,
I've,
right?
I've been through here. And you all actually helped me get it because I had to do some staged, almost like interviews
good.
and consultations and stuff. And I came
We
up
didn't
here
get any
and you
residual
guys.
checks for that. I don't
No, you
remember seeing that
didn't.
come
Well, yeah,
through.
when I make lots of money,
Oh,
we'll do that. you know,
Same
but-
with me.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. But as a certified financial planner, you're not just an investment advisor. It really is overall planning. So you look at all aspects, everything from estate plans to your tax, how they are, how your investment should be set up, if you've got all your risk factors taken in life, all your insurances, whether that's long-term care or whether that's disability and all that. So it's kind of more of a quarterback role in somebody's
Right.
financial.
You are all up in our business.
All
Yeah.
up in your business. Just I'm really nosy.
And it's a good
Yeah.
thing.
I catch myself every now and then, someone will be talking out in a social setting. I'll say, well, tell me about that. Well, have you done so-and-so? And I'm thinking, they probably think I'm extremely rude. You're not saying,
Yeah.
oh, wait,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nosy.
And they always tell me, that's the funny thing. They'll just start right down. So I am nosy, but for a purpose,
Right.
to be helpful. So
Do you ever have a difficult time with certain people? I mean, is it challenging
don't
at
wanna-
times
I'll tell you
about what they have, how much money they have, and what they
the interesting
do
thing
with
to
it?
me, and someday we need to do another show
Yeah,
on this,
okay.
money is extremely emotional. And I've touched on that a little bit before here. So you have what you can logically sit down and deal with somebody with.
Mm-hmm.
And then their emotions take over, and so they go and do the exact opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was hard for me. I'm better at dealing with that now to understand, because I really want to help. And
Yeah.
we'll lay out a plan, and you'll spend lots of time. And then they don't do anything like that.
Yeah.
And it
there-
is an emotional-
Is it a security thing for them, or
Um,
is it, what's the emotion?
It's everything from a need, I think, to help their families and things that might be. People will put other people often first.
Right.
Before themselves, even to their own detriment. And so you'll have a wonderfully laid out plan, and then
Just doesn't
a
happen.
grandchild needs
Oh, I see.
$50,000
Yeah.
for something.
Yeah.
They need bail money or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, your whole crafted plan that they've been working on for 3 or 4 years goes out the window for a very emotional basis.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Or the flip side of that is, I'm just going to hang on to this because it might all go away.
Yeah.
And that they're operating from a position of fear, especially when
yeah.
you see a lot of newspaper accounts and
Sure, yeah.
or
And you
media
follow,
accounts and
yeah.
stuff.
Here in the political year this year,
It
I'm sure
is.
there's a lot of fear going on right
There is.
now.
I heard an interesting statistic today in a conference call I listened to, is that today, I think, is the 8th year anniversary from the bottom of the Great Recession.
Yeah, I remember that day.
And the
Okay.
stock market itself, I think, is up 193% from that
that
point.
day.
Wow.
But you never hear that out, and that's not the sense that most people have, because oftentimes the media and the people that are around you
Absolutely.
project that feeling of fear. So you have a lot of people making fear-based decisions as well, when if you could get them to step back and do logically. But interestingly enough, even on my own investments and assets and things, I realize that often on my own money, I'll operate from something like that too.
Yeah.
And so even in my own place, it helps to sit down and talk to somebody. And that's what you really want people to do. As a certified financial planner, I can also not just do investments, but I also now can just charge by the hour like an accountant or a lawyer does.
Oh,
So
good.
what I have people bring to me and sit down and say, here's what I'm thinking about, here's what my financial advisor or my insurance person has suggested. What do you think? And oftentimes that answer is, you know what, they're giving you really good advice and you ought to do it. You're hesitant to do that because you're nervous or you're operating
Right.
from,
Yeah.
an emotional state. And sometimes just having that second opinion is good.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
sometimes, you say, well, there might be a better option. Go back and ask them about
Do you
this.
do you offer like a first-time consultant?
Yes, and it's
a
free.
Okay.
Yeah, I just have people come in and kind of give me an idea what you're after.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll bring, whether it's their retirement plan statements or their Social Security statements or something like that, or all of it, or a whole box.
Yeah. The number that was up on the screen, it's NEST, right? Nest.
Yes,
Nest.
yes, it is. It's 741
NEST.
6378.
Okay, if they wanna
And that's
call you.
NEST. Yeah.
Before we've got about 3 minutes to go, I
Okay.
want to talk about the classes if you've got time.
Okay, I sure do. I've got 3 classes coming up through the continuing education out at the college.
Oh, good.
And so they're all on Tuesday nights. They're all free, and they're all from 6:30 to 9:30. And the first one is March 29th, and it's Financially Smart, Financially Strong, Women, Money, and Power.
So
and
this is
so-
just for women?
Well,
only, or-
I say that it's just for women. It's geared toward women. The materials are geared toward women, but the concepts overall are really strong.
So
and
men
so if
can
husband
show
and
up.
men can come,
Yeah,
if husband
okay.
and wives want to come. But part of it is to make women understand that they really need to put themselves first financially, because women are the world's worst about giving
Putting other
$50,000.
There's the emotional
right.
aspect of it, yeah.
Exactly, because they're caregivers often for their family, and that's been
Sure.
their role.
Well,
And
that's
so
the way
they're
mothers
they're
are, yeah.
very apt to not look out for themselves. And the truth is, they're going to live longer. They're going to be the ones in need of long-term care oftentimes, and so
And you
they've
don't
got to
think
put
about that
themselves
when
first.
you have a spouse, and the fact that you may be without that spouse at some point,
Exactly.
at any point.
And
Are
most
you
women
ready?
eventually end up being at the point where they're on their own.
And it's a good idea to help yourself first
Yes.
so you can help others.
Right.
And I'll tell you another reason I would encourage men to come as well. Oftentimes, the women need to hear from those loved ones, we want you to take care of yourself.
Affirmation, I guess.
It is affirmation, yeah.
And the name of that course is?
Financially Smart, Financially Strong.
Okay.
Okay.
Women, Money, and Power.
Okay.
Yep. And so that's March 29th, 6:30 to 9:30. The second is April 5th, 6:30 to 9:30, and it's Building a Strong Financial Future, Strategies for Age 45 to Retirement. Because about age 45 is when we start thinking, oh, this gig may not last forever.
Right.
I want to be planning what I want to
Right.
do. And so that's, again, men and women. Younger people can certainly come. The basis is still the same. But it's really going to target those folks 45 on up through retirement.
Okay.
And then the last one is April 19th, right after tax day, 6:30 to 9 again. It's a Tuesday. The Essentials of Estate Planning. And I'm really excited about that. Kathy Golden of the Harrison Law Firm of Sprock, Golden, and Bardware is going to participate with that.
Oh, good.
So we're going to go through and just tell people what they need to have in mind. We all think our families are going to figure this out when we're gone, and I can tell you that is a recipe for disaster. I don't care how
A lot of
sweet,
stress,
loving,
too.
and kind.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare, and it's very stressful on
Right.
everybody.
Yeah.
So help your family by getting that in place before those times come. So all of them are free. Again, you can register through the college. Either on their website or 391-3100 is the phone number.
And your number
Thank
is
you.
741
6378.
NEST. All right.
NEST.
Lane, thank you so much. We
Thank
are
you
totally
very
out of
much.
time.
That works.
We'd like to thank all the guests that have been on the show today, and we'd like to thank you for being here. And if you'd like to be a part of the show or like to schedule any events or let us know about events or things in the area, if you'd like to be on our show, you can call us here at the office at 870-741-4891 or go to our Facebook page or website and just you Google all that stuff if you want. More information is at the end of the show. You can find out how to do that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.